This week's episode was probably one of the more cuter episodes of the series that we've been waiting for who knows how long, with the reuniting of Shelfie and Rudeus. Whether it's an actual reuniting or not at this point is up for debate, but it's a reuniting and things are getting pretty crazy at college right from day one, because why would it not be crazy if it wasn't Rudeus's adventure and the people that he keeps himself around, So with that being said, let's talk about this episode, then we'll get more into that afterwards. But we start off with Rudeus and his trusty companion at this point, Elenice, and they just make it to the college, right? And we get to see this nice view of it, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous on this huge cliff-esque area with multiples of buildings, right? So we get there, and Rudeus is pretty much asking her, if she wants to come with him, or what the heck she's gonna do now. And of course, she admits that she's developed an interest in boys around Rudeus's age. Whatever, it is what it is. And he kind of reminisces about this trip, about how pretty much every single day she was screwing somebody, and he says she blames her curse. And well, we as a reader, she does have a curse, and things are kind of moving forward from here on now. But we get to the college, and Rudeus meets with the principal, or the head of the college, and they introduce themselves to him, and she says, she's a member of the party. And he kind of asks what, made him decide to come to the college so quickly, because realistically, he got that letter, and within a day, he was heading out to, the college. And he says, Roxy, and he really presses Rudeus's buttons and doesn't call her Miss Roxy, because she's his idol. He adores her, obviously, from what you've seen the last 4 episodes. And so he asks him to take this test of sorts, kind of just like showing off his magic, right? So Rudeus agrees to it, and they're walking down the hallway, and he's asking if they have anything that studies in like mental illness or curses or anything of that sort, obviously thinking selfishly about his erectile dysfunction, after the principal does mention that there is other things other than magic at this academy, and that's why it is so huge. Now, we obviously know it's about his ED, however everyone else does, and it makes for a situation, because obviously that's going to be something Rudeus is thinking about most of the time here. And we get to the introduction of Shelfie and Rudeus, or Fitz as you will, because she is the other spellcaster sorcerer that doesn't have has incantationless magic. So they meet, and obviously at first they introduce themselves to each other, and Shelfie's very shocked. Obviously, just shocked, because one of the main people she's been looking for this whole time, who she hasn't seen in years, besides the years of the Demon Continent and the years afterwards from that. Obviously, he was gone for a couple years before then, training Eris, and all that other thing. So she hasn't seen Rudeus in almost 10 years-ish almost. So it's been a long time. And I know most of the viewers are thinking, how does he not recognize her? How does he not? But you really got to think about it, though, She's got gray hair. She's wearing manly clothing to hide her figure. She's grown over the years. She's got, glasses on, and just many things have changed. And I don't know if anybody really remembers this, but Rudeus is kind of a, how do I put this, an oblivious person? Doesn't really recognize much, So, I mean, this whole meeting is pretty much just a redux of when they first met the first time, in a sense. But we'll get more to that later on throughout the episode. So they're getting ready to do this duel, and of course she has the wand that Rudeus gave her. Well, they didn't really give it to her, but the wand that Roxy gave to Rudeus, that he gave to, you know what I'm saying. And so he recognizes it, obviously, and he's like, whatever. It's probably something, he doesn't really say this, but it's probably something they can just commonly buy, considering it's a lower level wand. The fight starts, and we get to see his demon eye acting up again and seeing what she's going to cast ahead of time. And it's this water-esque type spell, and Rudeus ends up negating it and shooting these stone bullets at her. And she falls down instantly, pretty much, because he barely scrapes her face and takes her out within like 2 seconds and thanks her for the battle. Everybody in the room seems shocked and just freaked out. But obviously, they don't know about that spell either. And it's kind of cool because, it's a little disappointing compared to the light novel. Because, there's a huge healing spell and he only shoots one pebble at her instead of a bunch of them. But the rest of this episode's so great, it just makes up for that, and who cares, You can't exactly adapt everything from book material to this. And once we understand that, the sooner the better. And it's not like they did a bad job adapting it whatsoever. It's just, there's a few things they gotta do justice on, and I think they did just fine. So Rudeus goes back to his classroom and he's kind of explaining what it means to be like a special student there. And he only really realistically has to attend homeroom once a month. And after that, he's pretty much good to go. And other than that, the only other thing is if you get in trouble outside of school, you're in trouble out of school. You can't block you from that. And so Elenice comes in wearing her school uniform and asks Rudy how it looks. And he tells her that she might have an easier time if she shortens the skirt and wears thigh highs, which... Any man of culture knows that thigh highs are a gem. So that gives her the advice. And of course, she listens to him considering, the fact that, Rudeus is a horny boy and he's a gray rat. So there's that as well. We get to this opening ceremony for the school for all the freshmen. And we see some familiar faces like Ariel, the princess, and... a character that we're going to be introduced to. We kind of already have, but not like to the extent of what we find out, and that's Luke and Fitz. And, everybody's freaking out about him because, he's good looking and she's good looking, and then there's Fitz. But he gets this like foreshadowing almost saying that, Luke kind of reminds him of Paul. And that's for various reasons at this point. But the ceremony ends and Rudeus is going to homeroom to take care of, his monthly homeroom. And we run into our boy that we've all missed, the one and only Zanoba. And he is just excited to see frickin' Rudeus, obviously, because he hasn't seen him in a couple of years. And we meet a few other characters along the way here. One of them being obviously one of the demi-humans. And she's looking cute, and this is definitely cut because you can tell just by Rudeus's comments, and we'll get an uncut version later, but we get a glimpse of her panties, in the uncut would be my assumption, not with this nice stupid Crunchyroll cut, but, she's got this attitude, and Zanoba, he kind of like is afraid of her in a sense. So Rudeus is wondering why he's afraid of her, and we find out that her name is Linnea, and she's a 5th year. And her dad is Gaius, the war chief in that village that Rudeus visited during the Demon Capital arc. And he did mention that her daughter was off studying, so there is that. So we kind of know a little bit about her, not like a crap ton, but she is a pretty important character. And we meet the other beast human, and that is a Persina, and she's kind of more or less the same story along those lines. Well, she's also got this attitude that just kind of makes you kind of go, huh. And then we meet Cliff. Cliff is an interesting fellow, and he is a very, very important role to this story and Elenice's life, but that's for later on. However, we come to find he's a pretty well-rounded sorcerer, and, he's trying to learn how to, like, cure things and diseases and all that fun stuff. And we also find out that he knows a little bit about Rudeus and a little bit about his sword fighting, and he learned all this from Eris. And obviously Rudeus is like having like PTSD here and asking, if she's at the school right now, and obviously she wouldn't be because why the hell would she go to school? But put a pin in that because that'll come back on later in the future here. But Rudeus is going to the library to kind of check out things about, the Flash because he really wants to fix his what, and it was like something he also kind of wants to look up because he also feels that all of his family is safe except for obviously Shelfie, but we'll get into that later. But we run into Fitz in the library, and she kind of asks how, things are going and why he's looking up all these things and what he's looking up. And he tells her what he's looking up. And he says that, one of his friends is still missing. And he obviously, he doesn't want to talk about his erectile dysfunction. But he's, talking about wanting to figure out about the mass teleportation. And you can just see in Shelfie's eyes how touched she is by this. And she gives him a suggestion on what books to read and pretty much goes from there. And we got Zenoba and Rudeus eating lunch out at the lunch cafeteria, kind of getting back together, talking about how he's learning earth magic and how they should make figures again once, the semester's kind of, settled in and everything, which makes sense because that's the main reason those two got together in the first place as a power team was the Roxy figure. And we get these nice introduction of characters here, and we get to have Rudeus finally introduced to Luke, and he's like, yeah, I heard from Fitz you're quite forgetful, because obviously behind the scenes, they know who Shelfie's looking for and everything, and obviously Rudeus is just not picking it up, but he kind of finds out he's forgetful, and then he introduces himself as Luke Greyrat. Obviously, one of Paul's family branches, and they're cousins, and that's kind of why obviously it reminded him of Paul because, well, family and all that fun stuff. But we get the explanation from Zenoba what's going on, why they're there, and all that fun stuff that we kind of already recapped, obviously through episode 0. Rudeus is walking away later. He's been studying for a while, and out of nowhere, this miraculous white pair of panties comes flying out of the sky, and Rudeus catches them, and he's got this look of like, probably shouldn't be holding these, but why the hell are these panties flying out? And right after that, he's surrounded by the girls of this, I guess I want to call it like sorority or girl group building-esque area. And instantly, we get this moment of PTSD yet again from Rudeus, but in his past life, not his modern life, because he's surrounded. He's being called a pervert and a piece of shit, kind of like he did when he was a human and he got chained to the fence, obviously. And it's just given him the sense of irritability and sadness, and the fact that he did nothing wrong realistically, And one of the bigger heads of the frat comes, and she jumps down and she grabs Rudeus right away, and she's going to try to make an example of him because obviously she thinks that he ran in there and stole them somehow without anybody noticing. Kind of odd, but and obviously he doesn't know the rules yet, but it is a rule, I guess, that you're not supposed to walk down this area as a male. But with him being so new, how the heck is he supposed to know that? And so obviously Fitz comes to the rescue to save him, and she's kind of not listening because she respects Fitz, but at the same time wants to make an example because, she's probably just a sexist. And after that, Fitz pulls out the wand and things kind of go, separate ways. And we come kind of to find out that Fitz was doing the princess's laundry and dropped the panties out the window. And obviously that's kind of what the situation happened. And with her gorilla grip, she ended up pretty much injuring Rudeus's arm. So she's also healing Rudeus's arm at the same time. And we get this first moment of Rudeus and Shelfie sitting there together. And obviously, Rudeus still is just Rudeus, and he's appreciating the help. And for once, Rudeus is apologizing to Shelfie. And if you can kind of see the mirroring of this, like in the very first season, when Rudeus saves Shelfie from being bullied and takes her in and heals her and cleans her up. And she apologized to him, or, said thank you, I guess, not apologize, but is literally almost mirrored to the first season, except the difference is the roles have been reversed. And it is absolutely adorable and quaint, and I love this scene so much. And, Rudeus is like, what do you mean by that? Because she says, it's weird hearing him say thank you to her. And she's like, I'm not gonna tell you. You're gonna have to figure this shit out yourself. And Rudeus gets this nice cheek blush as she walks away into the night. Overall, this was a 10 out of 10 episode. Every episode this season has been just an absolute complete banger, and Studio Bind is doing a very fantastic job of adapting this series. Now, we're getting into the Rudeus questioning if he's gay arc, because obviously he's starting to get feelings for Fitz and all that fun stuff. But it's going to be really great, and I'm very excited. I'm going to be kind of sad at the fact that we only got 6 episodes left until the wait until next April, I want to say, for Core 2. Though there is that rumor about the OVA being dropped in the middle of it. Not confirmed, but rumored. And it's just, oh, I'm so happy. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments, because this is such a circulative show that you can't go wrong with it, and it's just beautiful. And very happy. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It means a lot to me. And if you're feeling generous, hit the subscribe button. It keeps me going. I upload 2 seasonal reviews a week, and might go up next season. We'll see how that goes with Goblin Slayer and everything coming out. I'm pretty pumped for that. And I usually try to do one random video of my selective reviews or opinions on things or theories every week as well. So with that being said out of the way, that's about all I got for today. This has been Squids, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.